This
what happened last time. So you need to go here first. I don't know why it's starting with that video, but it's really annoying. But anyway. And now you're good. Now it's got video.
Okay, see, like this video.
That's what happened last time. That was the problem. So you probably did everything else right.
No, I didn't have this screen at all.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
no video.
Okay, so then I'll go share the screen. Then I click on this.
No, not that one. PowerPoint.
Sorry, I click PowerPoint. Okay, PowerPoint. Then I do share. Okay, I have to remember that one. Okay, share.
That screen at the top, that control panel.
Yeah, and then I just do this one, full. Okay, and I'll go here.
Yeah. So to more.
More, yeah, I got that one now, yeah, and I pause.
Yep.
It's so chatty, isn't it? Oh, loquacious, isn't it?
Yeah.
The recording. Okay, so. It should be now everything there.
I've read chapter 3.
Mhm.
I started chapter 5, but I've had the last week of family problems.
It's called life.
It's
Life usually interferes with our best plans.
so much, but I haven't completed all the
Yes,
circles.
it's
and
okay, you know, I'm
diagrams,
going
but-
through
Yes, that's
the
right.
whole thing,
But
so
at least I
it's
got
just,
to read that, and I read 2
Yeah.
as well. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am, now what is this doing? Why is not going? Don't even. No. Now this one is not working, so we've got the slides, but we can't move them. I love this thing. So what is, okay, now it's moving now.
Ah, here we are.
I need to read. Okay, so today we are going to talk further about deductive reasoning
Yes.
and inductive, which is non-deductive reasoning. Yeah. So this is what is covered in a lecture.
Yep.
So I want to revisit inference. Remember,
Yes.
infer and
Yes.
imply.
Yes.
Deductive and non-deductive arguments I will talk about. Deductive arguments are categorical and sentential. We already touched upon that, and I'm going to explain it further. Let me just make clear here, and I highlighted it, I am not going to cover, because I think it's going to be too much for you, yeah? So I'm not going to cover the propositional sentential arguments, where sentences are connected by a logical connectives. Remember, if it's raining, then I will not go to the beach. Okay?
Yeah.
I will do it next lecture, because next lecture we've got causality, and I think the conditional arguments are actually in a way part of causality, how we think about causality. So I will then explain propositional, in other words, hypothetical arguments next week. Okay?
Yeah.
So then we are going to look at this again standard form of deductive arguments. Remember, we talked about the standard form last week.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to explain to you valid and invalid arguments and valid and sound arguments. And then we look at non-deductive arguments, and I will stress this several times, but non-deductive arguments cannot be valid or invalid. They could be successful or unsuccessful.
Yes.
Yes, so if you remember this, and I have no idea why I'm stressing this, of course. No idea why I'm stressing it, but I think it would be good if you do remember this part.
Yes.
Which of course you can go into the lecture notes, yeah?
Yeah.
Then you are answering questions of assignments.
Yes, I know.
That is the
So-
non-deductive argument.
So, I am not saying anything, I'm just suggesting that
Yes.
It's going to be good idea to remember what is valid and sound argument and successful and
And
unsuccessful
unsuccessful.
argument.
Okay.
But we will explain this, yeah?
Yes.
So once again, remember inference to infer, yeah?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of good to look at the Latin,
Yes.
yeah, root as we look at arguere and critique, yeah?
Yes.
And it's from the in and fero, means very carry something, so literally it means carry forward. So you infer from premises the conclusion, yeah? There is an inference which you need to sort of draw, carry forward to, from premises to a conclusion, yeah? That's what we talked about last week, I'm just reminding you. I will come back to it again. Okay, so hey, this is few claims to think about. Emus tend to travel in pairs, or sometimes alone, or in groups, and feed mainly at night or during day. It's good, huh?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So, yeah. And the second one is, I'm sorry, I just could not help myself. When I saw this one, I thought, what on earth? A training module, dignity in care, not an option. Please, this language, managerial language is driving me insane. It's totally empty. But
Oh,
here we
it's
know that
like-
homicide victims rarely talk to police. I
I'm so-
wonder why. Really curious, isn't
I
it?
swear it is.
Well, they're dead, so they can't, is that
That's
right?
exactly
Yeah.
right. If it's a homicide or murder.
Once again,
Hmm.
as I keep repeating, be careful when you write
Yes.
and pay attention to words.
Yes.
Okay, so once again, we are going to look at the basic structure, formal structure of an argument. Can I just make sort of side note? Why I am repeating and repeating this basic structure, and of course the basic structure of a deductive argument, because that structure applies to deductive arguments and inductive arguments as well. How it works, yeah, it's slightly different, but the structure is the same. And that structure, yeah, you want to understand because that will help you to write your argumentative essays. Yeah?
Yes.
And as I say, I will repeat and repeat
I
and
know,
repeat.
I know.
Okay? Okay, so once again, deductive arguments, yeah? In a deductive argument, premises, reasons are intended to provide a conclusive support for a conclusion, yeah? They entail the conclusion. The premises entail the conclusion, otherwise we don't have an argument, yeah? So to draw we are back at inference, we draw a valid inference from one or more claims, yeah? Which means that you draw a conclusion from a given premises, yeah? The inference in a way we carry from premises to a conclusion, yeah? So to draw a conclusion is to infer from premises. You note that I'm saying the same thing in different ways.
Yes.
Whichever, yeah, is good for you, you remember that, yeah? But hey, first, what do we mean when we talk about categorical argument? Because that's what we are going to look at it. We are not going to be, and I suggest it's another thing that you want to remember.
Okay.
So we have categorical arguments and we have sentential arguments. You do not need to remember sentential arguments because I am not going to cover it today. You will need to remember it for the final assignment, shall we
So
say.
you said you're not covering categorical.
Oh, I am
Yes,
covering
today.
categorical. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I will go over and over and over until you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
sick of categories. Trust me. Okay.
Yeah.
So today we are covering categorical, but it's important to think first what it is. Think about what are categories, yeah? Usually when we talk about the arguments, we talk all men are mortal, remember?
Yeah.
All tables are wooden. All clouds are fluffy.
Yeah.
All babies are Yeah, we are talking, yes. Yes, so we are talking about categories. We are talking about the relationship within the claim. Yeah?
Yes.
Within the claim. So in categorical arguments, we are dealing with classes of things and we are looking at the relationship between terms. Yeah? And between terms within the sentence of the argument. Yeah? So we got premises, all trouts are fish. Yeah? Some fish are trouts. No snails are fish. They are all dealing with categories, yeah? And remember, categorical assertion must be
True or false?
true or false. Okay, so we are only dealing with those assertions which we can say they are true or false. So this table is white, true or false?
True or false?
This table is white.
Depends which way you look at it.
No, this table is not white even if you are looking wherever. What is this table? This table is maybe grey, black,
Yeah, okay.
but it's definitely not white. Why would you say it's white?
Because I'm looking at it from here to there, and that's why.
It's still grey. Where is white?
Oh, I see. All right.
No, this is really important.
Or white?
White.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you said
See,
it's wide.
We are talking again with that. I tell you, don't let migrants come into this country. They can't speak
No, I'm
English.
sorry, that's me.
No,
I'm
that's okay.
brain
So
dead.
it's still, I don't think it would be wide, would it?
Depends which way you looked at it from one.
Yeah, that's what you know.
And that's
yeah.
what I meant. That's why I'm saying grey, but yeah, I can see that. I didn't see you in white.
Yeah,
My-
yeah, I
my
was talking
apologies.
the,
Yeah, the
yeah,
colour.
color,
The colour,
So
okay.
I should go with this table is red, true or false?
False.
False, yeah?
Yes,
That's
sorry.
what,
Yes.
So you, just to the, all trouts are fish, you would agree that's true. Some fish are trouts, you would agree with, and that's false, no snails.
what is it? I
Is
have no
that
idea,
assumption?
trouts are fish.
You've got no idea the trouts are fish.
No, I am not really much into zoology, but if trouts are fish, then it's true, isn't it?
Yes.
But you assume the trouts are fish.
Yes,
And some fish are trouts.
and some
I do
fish are
understand
trouts,
that
so
one, yes.
then is a problem, all trouts are fish. Because only some fish are trouts, so the both claims would be
Both claims.
true.
True. Both
Yeah.
claims are true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no snails are fish, it's true too,
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah.
So we can put the, okay, you were not trained last week. What is a truth value of a sentence?
True or false?
She's good,
I know.
she's good.
She's a teacher.
Okay, so this is why, remember, we are dealing with categories, trouts, fish, snails, etc. Yeah, and we are looking at those categories within the sentence. Okay, that's why they are categorical arguments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of our claims are actually categorical, if you think about it. Yeah. Okay. Now remember syllogism.
Yeah.
Three-line argument, yeah? All men are mortal, Socrates is a man, Socrates is mortal, yeah?
Yeah.
So just remember what syllogism is. Because we have universal syllogism, which I come back to it. But first, before we go there, this table is wide. Now I'm saying wide. I predicate wideness on a table. This is what predication is, okay?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to sort of think about it, what actually we are talking about when we are having the second premise, yes? Socrates is a man, okay?
Yeah.
So this table is brown,
Yeah.
or gray, or whatever, yeah?
Yeah.
So we have a subject, this table is a subject of a sentence, yeah? I don't have to explain grammar, yeah? Okay, I have to tell you, I was writing this paper. And I'm talking about subject-object as a philosophical concept, yeah? And my supervisor at the time, the line next to it, and she wrote subject object. I rewrote the whole damn thing, philosophical thing. Second time, subject. Third time she writes grammatical subject and object. Because in Slovak, which was my language, we have 7 cases of singular, 7 cases plural. And whatever is subject or object is defined by the ending of a noun. So it does not matter if you put subject first and object second, because the ending tell you if it's subject or object. Well, in English, you bloody better put the subject first and object then, because then you have total confusion. So it's not a philosophical issue, it's grammatical issue. Yeah?
Oh my goodness.
Yes, exactly, but you don't think about
No,
it.
you
Yeah?
don't.
Yeah. So, this table is a subject of a sentence, and you predicate brownness on this table, in this case,
Yeah.
So something that is affirmed or denied of the subject in a proposition in logic, that's a predication. Okay, you actually don't have to remember it at all, but I just, because I'm using the term, I want to explain it to you. As you know, so Steph, you do not need to remember it, but when you see predication, you know what it is, So we have a premise in a predicative syllogism. The only thing you know predicative syllogism is this table is black. Socrates is a man. Perth is a small city. True, false?
Well, it could be true and it could be false.
Well, I don't think so.
Why don't you?
It's definitely not a small city.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's a geographical case. It's the
I was
how many
comparing it
people-
on world cities.
you just no. Yeah, remember the truth is depending on situation.
Okay, all right.
But Perth is a small city.
Yeah, don't go into the.
No.
Perth is definitely not a small city.
Okay.
Albany might be,
Yes.
or Geraldton, but definitely not Perth.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't overthink these things, because when you start overthinking, then you are going the wrong way, Yeah, Jones is a good teacher. Yeah, so you predicate quality on the subject of the sentence,
Yeah.
So think about this, categorical classes of things, or predicative arguments, it says so. All A's are B's, X is A, X is B. This is another way to think about standard form of an argument, Because then you actually do not get caught up in if Perth is big or small.
No.
And you are not going to be caught up on the text because you would have just this form there. It's much easier than to see if it's valid or invalid. I'll come back to that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, all A's are B's, all good teachers are sensitive to the needs of a student. Yeah? Do you follow?
Yes.
X is A, Jones is a good teacher. That means Jones is a good teacher, belongs to the category of A, doesn't it? X is A.
Yeah.
But because we know all A's are B's, that means he must belong into the category of B2, sensitive to the needs of the students. Do you follow this?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I'll come back to this. I'm going to repeat this many times. Okay, so we predicate here good teacher on Jones. Yeah, you can think of other explanation of predication. So predicative syllogism is a syllogism which is composed of one universal claim. All men are mortal. It's a universal claim.
Right.
Then you pick one member and you say Socrates or Jones is a member of the category of A, and because it's all A's are B's, then he has to be member of category B.
Okay.
Yeah? Because if all A's are B's, clearly it could be the same, Or B could be smaller category than A, but because it is in the category of A, so if he is A, he must be B.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first premise describes all of one class A in terms of some other class B. Okay? So in other words, the universal claim in a premise declares that all A's are B's. Yeah?
Yeah.
As you will see later on, it's really important to remember this, yeah?
Yeah.
And I really love my lettuce soup, but I have to say it's not lettuces as a vegetable, but as a lettuce, A, B, C, D. Just making clear that we understand each other.
Yes, yes.
So I love my lettuce soup. Okay. So why is it? Because all A's are B, so it must be as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, we have forms for a valid predicative syllogism. There are only two. There are only two. You do not have to remember anything, because if you remember those two, you can see how the argument is structured when you know it. One is affirmative and the other one is negative. Okay? So what is the affirmative? Of course, go with my perfect one. All A's are B's. X is A. So if Socrates is a member of A, he must be member of B. Yeah?
Yeah.
Negative is all A's are B's. Yeah, we are back there.
Yeah.
No X is B. Therefore, no X is A.
Ah,
See, if I say no X is A, it would not follow that it's not B.
No.
Yeah, just be careful. That's why if you remember, if it's not B, it cannot be A because all A's are B's.
yeah.
But A usually might be a bigger group. Yeah? So we don't know. Or B could be bigger group because only just A's are part of B's. We just cannot tell. Yeah? The only way is if it's not B, because all A's are B's, it cannot be A.
No.
So if you just remember this as a form
Yeah.
and not think about that what is there, but just remember, all A's are B's, X is A, first group,
Yeah.
therefore it has to be X, the second group, yeah?
Yeah.
In negative, all A's are B's, no X is B, therefore it cannot be A. That's all you need to remember. The moment you start thinking about this,
Yeah.
when you see all flying squirrels are mammals, no birds are mammals, yeah?
Yeah.
It's no B. Could you see why it's no B?
Yeah.
Flying squirrels A are B, mammals. No birds are mammals, no B. Therefore, they cannot be flying squirrels.
No, no birds,
Yeah?
flying squirrels, yes, yeah.
So you just remember form and then you are okay. There are just two forms, there is nothing else. Two forms, two forms. Okay, and then we have universal syllogism. And universal syllogism compares three categories, yeah? All A's are B's, all B's are C's, therefore all A's are C's. Okay?
Okay.
Now, this is, yeah? Now, look how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
A, B,
Yeah,
B, C. You repeat B,
Yeah.
and then you go to second, yeah, B, C's.
Yeah.
And then you go from the first to the last.
yes. So all
Yes.
A's are C's.
So in certain ways, you might say it's repeating, but it's kind of like weaving together, yeah? Sorry. Think about staircase. I love this staircase. A, B, C. It has to go one after the other. If you miss one step, you fall in cracks. I thought this was the rather scary falling, that's why I
Yes.
chosen this one. Yeah, it has to go A, B, B, C, and then you go A, C.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
So categorical classes of things, yeah? All A's are B's, all B's are C's, and then you go across first and the last. All A's are C's. So you can say all good teachers are sensitive to the needs of students. They treat students with respect. This is why sometimes you have to see if it is the same thing, yeah?
Yeah.
All who treat students with respect listen to students. All good teachers listen to students. Could you follow?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. A, B, B, C, A, C. Yeah. Okay. And universal syllogism, we talk about all, some, none. Yeah. So we speak, and when we speak of some, in logic it can contain just one member. Yeah. Not always, but it could be just one member. Okay. So we have all ABCs, some ABC, none. So let's see how we go. All A's are B's. Yeah.
Yes.
Now though some B's are C's, so we go A, B, B, C. Yeah?
Mhm.
All A's are C's.
Yeah.
Does conclusion follow?
Yes, yes.
Oy, 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 oy.
Does it follow?
Does it or doesn't it?
All B's.
A's are B's.
All A's are B's.
Yes.
Okay, take the
All
none.
B's.
None of B's are C's. So how can all A's be C's? If none of B's are C's? You are missing a step.
No, yeah, I know.
All A's are B's.
This is why this is,
Some, none, B.
and when you say some B's are C's,
Yes.
it cannot be all A's are C's, can it?
No.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, you could have some A's are C's, and that's already slightly pushing it.
Yeah.
Could you see?
Yes.
So be careful, the moment when you got some and none, it's a problem, yeah? When you got all A's are B's, all B's are C's, there is no problem, you just go, they are in the same category. The moment you go some and none, it's not so straightforward, yeah? Just be careful, and this is really important when we look on non-deductive arguments. Because usually on non-deductive arguments, we are using none and some,
Okay.
yeah? Messiness of the world, I call it.
Oh,
Okay, so think. All A's are B, so one category of things A is a subset of category B. Yeah?
Yeah.
No A's are B's. Those two categories do not intersect. They are two different categories, yeah? Because category of A is not part of category B. Some A's are B's. They do intersect, but not all of A's are category B. Okay?
Yeah.
So some A's are not B's, some A's are not subset of B's. Yeah, just be careful about this. Yeah. So going back to arguments, so we got deductive, which are categorical arguments, which I was explaining to you. And then we have the propositional, hypothetical, sentential arguments, where sentences are connected via logical connectives. Okay? I'll show you which one they are. We are not going to cover them, so don't worry. I will explain them next week, yeah?
okay.
And then we have non-deductive arguments, and they are broadly speaking synthetic empirical. Non-deductive arguments are analytical. You can, yeah, argue without going into the world, if you got a phone. Remember when I was talking about the bachelors, all bachelors are unmarried.
Yes.
Do you need to go and talk to each bachelor? No, you don't. When this is homicide for the victims, usually don't speak to police. You are not going to look at the homicide because the name of homicide means it's a dead person. Of course, they can't talk. Yeah? The meaning of a word already implies voice.
Yeah.
It's predicated on it. Yeah?
Yeah.
So they are analytical. You can do it just via thinking. And that's why those categories are important and forms, because through thinking you can see how it follows. Non-deductive arguments, on the other hand, you actually have to go into the world and check the matters of facts, because they are about the world and they are not as easy, to follow.
Yeah.
But if you master the categories and the forms, when we will talk about the sentential, you are using the same form, except they are likely, most probable.
Yeah,
Okay?
yes,
And we have
yeah.
statistical probability,
Yeah.
which of course statistics kind of
Yeah.
limits what
Yeah.
is given.
Yeah.
We got statistical syllogism, three-line argument, and we have inductive generalization. Yeah? You have all of this explained in your textbook.
Yeah.
Now think this is a deductive argument. Crombie was stoned, Crombie was stabbed, Crombie was shot, Crombie was scalped, therefore Crombie is dead. Valid, invalid. Is it not a good argument? Is it a good, it's not a good argument, is it? Because we actually are not, he must be a tough person. Let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
He must be a very tough
He was
person.
stoned by Henry Stone.
Yeah, but it clearly is that nowhere we have in the,
It's a homicide.
that he is actually dead.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you cannot draw that conclusion. What is missing here? Generalization. Remember when we were
Yeah.
looking at it last week?
Yes.
The missing generalization. Yeah? Okay, so you can have good argument, but sometimes it's not enough information. This is why we are coming to validity, truth, and soundness.
But my problem here is, going back to that, he was stoned, he was something, but then he's dead, but we can't conclude he's dead.
That's
because-
right.
That's precisely what I'm
We can't-
saying.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah,
We can't-
can't conclude he's dead.
I said he might be
He
very
should
tough
be,
fellow.
he should be.
He should be,
all
but
good, but we can't
But
sit here and.
from the information we have there, we cannot draw that conclusion, yeah?
Yeah, okay, so we cannot draw it.
No, we
So
can't draw that, we need
It's
another.
valid or invalid or just.
Now we are, it's nothing,
No,
and
it's
I will
nothing.
tell you what it
Yes,
is. Now we are
okay.
coming to this,
All right.
validity, truth, and soundness. And as I said, I suggest you do remember this.
All right. Yes. Hint, hint.
Okay, so what is it?
When you said, that's what you said, I have a little bit of a deafness problem, so I might have missed that.
Okay, no, that's
So it
okay.
was just,
Well, in that case, you are extremely good at reasoning.
extremely what?
Good reasoning.
Yeah, well, I didn't, because you said, oh, I've said that, well, I haven't heard you say that.
See, but you
So I
said it,
apologize for
that,
that.
no, don't apologize, that was just reaffirming how good you are in reasoning.
Oh, I don't know whether
Yeah, isn't that the case?
because I have nervous deafness and the words run into each other. No hearing aids can solve that problem.
Right, you're
It's just
hearing
as a
well.
blur.
You're hearing well.
Yeah,
But I
Because you
thought,
looked at that and thought that can't be right.
yes,
well, I've done that
That's
with
it.
all the homework. You
Yeah.
can analyse all the homework.
yeah,
But you can assume that there could be a possibility, and this is what we're calling a deductive argument, okay?
yeah.
It's all sort of coming together a bit better for me.
I am telling you, at the end, hopefully, that's why I'm repeating
Yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
so actually, and saying it from different sides, so it makes more sense, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so we got non-deductive arguments, which cannot be valid or invalid. Why is that? Because we cannot draw from those messy empirical things in the world clearly a conclusion. I will go through it. The conclusion we can draw, but it doesn't mean it follows. Okay, so non-deductive arguments could be just probable. Deductive arguments, yeah,
Yeah.
are valid. Non-deductive arguments are only probable. Yeah, and I explain why is this. And it could be high or low degree of probability, yeah?
Yeah.
So once again, non-deductive arguments, this is in your book, I am not covering those.
No.
We will cover causal arguments next week. That's why I will come back to the hypothetical arguments.
So
because I
we're
think
not
they are
concentrating on chapter 6 and 7.
We are looking chapter 6 next week.
Yeah, all right, yeah,
Yeah,
that's all right.
but I'm not looking at chapter 7 and the plausibility argument. You can look at it if you want to.
Yeah,
I mean, arguments by analogy, I mean, my favorite one, of course, is you are on the beach and you find a watch on the beach. You look at that watch and you say, this watch must be made by a watchmaker. Yeah? By analogy, then you say this watch must be made by God. It's a very classical example, yeah?
Okay.
Analogy from the watchmaker
Yes.
to God as the creator of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah?
okay.
It's very famous, that's why I'm using it,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
But that's by analogy. So you go from one example and then you extend it, yeah, to another example. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not looking at it if you want to look chapter 7, but we will cover the causal arguments next week with the hypothetical arguments, yeah? Okay. So empirical, non-deductive arguments are based on evidence, okay? So you cannot simply do all A's are B's because the world is not as simple, but you can use that form to actually put the arguments together, yeah? So when we base conclusion on empirical evidence, matters of fact, yeah? The conclusion may be probable, even highly probable, but it can never be certain, yeah?
Yeah.
In a way, that's what it is. Look at the textbook, yeah? It is always possible that a conclusion will turn out to be wrong. We can be misled by, and this is one thing which you should remember, and everybody should remember this. We can be misled by evidence, we can misremember, we can have incomplete information, and clearly our knowledge of things in the world is very limited. We are finite human beings, we just cannot know everything. Hence, empirical arguments are always probable, even if highly probable, yeah? Now, the inductive argument is part of empirical arguments, yeah? Don't forget, sciences are based first on inductive reasoning. It's a basis of science, yeah?
Yeah.
Goes empirical facts. But then second step is deductive reasoning. You do not have conclusion which you want to have in sciences in the world. Yeah, so science is a mixture of inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Otherwise, you cannot have science. But of course, that's a different issue. I'm just telling you as a side note, yeah? So think about the induction, yeah? In inductive arguments, yeah, it is any argument where the premises, while offering support for the conclusion, do not entail conclusion. Do you remember when we look at the deductive arguments?
Yeah.
Where premises entail the conclusion?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because it's, as I said, it's your thinking. You don't need the word for it. When you got premises, you work out through thinking. Once you go into the world, the premises do not entail the conclusion. That's what is the difference. That's why it's sometimes difficult to figure out, yeah, inductive arguments, non-deductive arguments, yeah? So lots of scientific knowledge is gained inductively, yeah?
Yeah.
Scientists make a series of observations, say, yeah, how every emu, the scientists come across is a flightless bird. And on this basis, draws a conclusion which goes beyond the observation. Yeah? That all emus are flightless, and not we are already in deductive claim. We are in generalization which you cannot find in the world. All emus are flightless. It's impossible to find in the world because I'll come to that in a second.
Okay.
Okay, so This is the point, yeah, you observe
Yes.
and the science is based on it, draw conclusion from it, but that conclusion does not entail those premises. You have to go beyond those, yeah, observations. So the inductive logic is a logic of evidential support, evidence, which
Okay.
you go and observe in the world, yeah? So you got those type of arguments, for example, don't go to science, sociology, psychology. When you do research, gather the statistical evidence, etc., etc., those is the world. It's not, you cannot do it just in thinking alone. You can do the format of the argument, but you have to be aware that that format, if it's filled in, shall we say, with the evidential support, is not in a way valid, is not entailing premises because the conclusion, and I will give you an example, does not necessarily follow because it's a kind of a messy world.
Yeah.
Messy view of things, yeah? So inductive logic then is the weaker argument. Yeah, deductive logic is a strong argument because you cannot go any other way. All A's are B's, X is A, therefore X must be B. Must be B, yeah? Once when you are going about the emus or swans, which I'm going to give you an excellent example. So, consider these two arguments. All men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. This is a valid argument. There is inference, it can go any other way, yeah?
Yeah.
But now look at the second argument. Swan A is white, Swan B is white, Swan whatever, Z is white. You observe a lot of white swans, and then you say likely because you don't know.
Okay.
Your knowledge is, remember what we talked before, limited,
Yes.
you can misremember, you don't know everything. Likely all swans are white, yeah? And then you come to Perth, like me.
Yes, now it is.
No,
Just
all
going back to
swans
that,
are not white.
Inductive argument, can I just ask a question? Is it almost like a hypothesis?
No, hypothesis is different. We will talk about that next week. But you can have a hypothetical, we will come back to it.
All right, okay.
We will actually
Next
cover
week,
this one.
right, I'll
Yeah.
make sure.
No, not next week, week after. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's Mill's method when he talks about the, how you do scientific reasoning, yeah? And then hypotheses are important, yeah? Okay, so clear now why one is therefore and the other one is likely?
Yes.
Okay, so now look at the non-deductive arguments pattern. And note, yeah, if you have, yeah, all people, therefore, in deductive argument,
Yes.
but because it's a messy world, in studies of 5,000 people who had more exposure to environmental smoke, had a higher frequency of like lung cancer. Likely, more people who have more exposure to environmental smoke generally have a higher frequency of lung cancer. It's not therefore, look, we can only have studies of 5,000 people.
Yeah.
The world is much bigger than 5,000 people.
So that's a
All
long-
studies are limited, yes,
Okay.
yeah? It's just, we cannot, it's highly probable, but it's still probable or likely,
Yeah.
yeah?
Okay, yeah.
You cannot say like when you only have the form in deductive arguments, therefore, and it's valid, yeah? Okay, so consider inductive versus deductive arguments, yeah? So you can have all God's creatures need potassium in their diets, generalization, yeah? Remember, you
Yeah.
always have generalization name. So all A's are B's. Alvin is one of God's creatures. X is A. Therefore, X is B. Yeah? Alvin needs potassium in his diet. Yeah, this is deductive argument, it's valid. You cannot go anywhere outside of it, the form is there and you follow it, yeah? Well, now look at this. And we go there most. Most adults can tolerate a moderate amount of sugar in their diet. Alvin is an adult. Likely Alvin can tolerate moderate amount of sugar in his diet. This is the problems with most.
Yes.
Because it's just likely he can tolerate. What if he's a diabetic? It's most, it's not all. Yeah? If he is a diabetic, then the conclusion of this inductive argument is false. Yeah? Even though premises are true. Okay? Even the premises are true, the conclusion is not, because he is an exception in this case, yeah? So just be careful, likely. It's still likely, yeah, because you can know everybody, but it's just likely it's not therefore. Yeah? So, or put it differently, as I already was telling you this, the world is always messy, and it messes up with our excellent logic. Reasoning follows beautiful formal patterns, we know that. The world does not give a damn about our patterns. Well, science might disagree with me in some cases, but yeah. So yet for the argument structure, it helps us to freeze the unpredictable world. All men are mortal, yeah? We freeze it into the pattern so we can present it to others. And we can use that pattern for the non-deductive arguments, just we have to be careful that world does not freeze this. The Alvin can be a diabetic.
Yes.
Yeah, just be aware of this. Yeah. So now this is the issue. When we base conclusion entirely on logic, yeah, in other words, on thinking alone, while paying attention to the relationship between categories or claims, yeah, categorical argument or sentence or propositional arguments, yeah, that process is called deduction. We can be absolutely sure that our conclusions are true if premises are true and the argument is valid. Okay? So if the statements we deduce or infer from premises are true, the conclusion must be true. It must be true. Okay? If the argument is valid. Okay? And this is from your textbook. And I actually have a little bit problem with this, but it's okay if you kind of remember it this way. A valid argument is one in which there is no possible way for premises to be true and the conclusion false at the same time. If all of its premises are true, the conclusion must be true. Thus, the truth of the premises of valid argument completely guarantees the truth of a conclusion. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, you can have false premises, yeah,
Yes.
and by accident, the conclusion will be true. So only true premises leads to a true conclusion. For me, the issue is I rather pay attention to the structure, okay? But if this is the way it works for you easier, when you get true premises, the conclusion, but you still need to know if the argument is valid. So, yeah. So, yeah, this is what I'm thinking, is the only way to think about validity. What about the relationship between categories, yeah? What about inference? What is an argument? Argument, remember I talked last week, is a technique. It's simply technique. It is a way to present claims by establishing a relationship between those claims in order to draw or infer conclusion from those claims, yeah? It's a technique. If you master the technique, you master arguments. So, now, know that a valid deductive argument is not always necessarily sound. And here we come to the next point, which is important, okay? In a deductive argument, if argument is valid, yeah, then premises necessarily lead to a conclusion. We already know that, yeah? Now, if it is sound, true premises necessarily lead to a true conclusion. So what does this tell us? Why do we have two terms, valid and sound? Is it not enough to just a valid argument? Why do we have to put a sound there? Okay, think about this one. Fran must be pretty well off. Volvo owners have high than average incomes and Fran owns a Volvo. Okay, so, and see what I do?
Yes, you put it
Deductive, yeah?
in.
All Volvo, so the first one is generalization, yeah?
Yes,
Then we have Fran is a Volvo owner, therefore Fran has a higher than average income. Okay?
yeah.
Valid, yeah?
I could disagree with you, because
Why?
you could have an old second-hand Volvo and not be as wealthy.
And why would you disagree with me?
Why?
In order for you to disagree with me,
Yeah,
you have to give me a different argument.
okay, I
On
see what you
these
mean. In other words, you're
premises-
saying all Volvo owners have.
That's
high
what I'm
net-
saying, it's deductive
But
form,
some people buy
and
them now, like
taking,
10
no,
years
but
old.
taking those premises,
Mm.
you only can reach their conclusion.
Okay, yeah.
If you do not like that conclusion, or if you say there is something different, you have to present me different premises.
Okay.
There's one step. This is actually a really good point, because
Yeah,
later
I
on,
see what you're saying.
I'm going to address this, yeah? So if you don't like the conclusion, yeah, you have to go to premises and look which premise is not true or which you disagree. Okay?
Okay,
So your issue would be with the premise one,
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
All Volvo owners have higher than average income.
Mhm.
Because that's not, if you want to buy it second-hand, you don't need to have higher than average income. You would have to put a different premise there,
Yeah, okay,
yeah?
I agree.
No, this is actually really important. This was
Yeah, I
a great
understand what
point.
you're saying,
Yeah. I will come back to it, yeah?
Going back to that previous slide, there's something else in that statement that doesn't ring true as either. She must be pretty well off. She could be living in that Volvo for all we know, that's all
But
that she
then,
owns.
once again, what is she doing?
We're both arguing with you.
She is paying attention to the content, which is we are going to do it at the end.
oh,
Yeah, now we are just looking at the end you will have to pay, but now we are only looking at the form, yeah? We are not, last week we were looking at the argument about abortion, yeah?
yes,
Abortion is a murder. You can have that whole essay written about that from the moral point of view. That's not what we are doing here. Here we are just looking at the form, yeah? And this is why I think it's important, your point, and I'll come back to it.
Yes, but I'm probably reading too much into it.
Here you are, the same way as,
Yes.
sorry, what's your name?
Lynn,
Lynn, same as Lynn,
Yeah,
yeah?
I'm reading,
You are looking at the content, not at the form.
Yeah.
Content is really important when you are going to write your essay at the end, yeah?
Yeah,
Hmm?
the conclusion in that statement there is that she must be pretty well off.
Yes, exactly. Because we got the generalization. That already puts you in that level. Yeah? Because we have put as a first premise, the generalization, they must have higher than average income, okay? Because then you can have inductive form, all right? And there is only likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not,
That one makes sense, the other one to me doesn't.
right, please, right.
but that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
show you, how that one is just form, deductive form, which you just go, all A's are B's.
Okay,
Friend is A, therefore friend is B, yeah? That's a valid deductive form.
okay, but just going back to that other slide, for me, Fran must be pretty well off is the conclusion. So if you wrote that argument again,
Fran must be
Fran
pretty
is
well
pretty
off.
well off as your conclusion, it would not be valid. By saying that Volvo owners have a higher than average income, Fran owns Volvo, she must be pretty well off. It wouldn't be valid.
But of course it is, it's here.
Like that.
You have to reframe it pretty well off, yeah? You go by, Volvo owners have higher than average income, yeah?
Mhm.
Fran owns Volvo, that means Fran must have higher than average income. You have to
Sure.
reframe
So
it.
what you're doing is completely eliminating that first sentence.
No, I'm reframing it. I'm rephrasing it
But
according to premises.
if you didn't reframe that and you just wrote as
But that's the art of argument. Yeah, that's the issue, that's the art of argument, how you put the premises there so it leads to a conclusion, yeah? This is why then you have inductive, yeah? You still have the same premises, yeah?
Mhm.
Put the
Fran-
word likely.
But it's likely because most Volvo owners, which goes back to your point, yeah, not everybody, because they can buy it differently, yeah? This cannot be said it's valid, yeah?
Yeah.
It's highly probable, okay? Now, deductive argument that succeeded in providing a conclusive support for its conclusion is valid, yeah? That's what we look at, yeah? A valid argument premises it necessarily to a conclusion. The form of a valid argument is based on valid inference, yeah? All A's are B's, so we infer from it. And valid argument is such, going back to the 3-4 slides before, that if premises are true, its conclusion must be true because of the form, yeah?
Okay.
Which of course is not the case in non-deductive argument, yeah? Remember Alvin. So before I go further, think about the complex argument, yeah? Remember we are doing complex argument. So the first inference, yeah, intermediate conclusion and final conclusion. So if any inference in a complex argument is invalid or unsuccessful, yeah, that means invalid is in invalid inference could be only in deductive argument.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But valid or
Only,
invalid is
yeah,
deductive.
exactly,
Yeah,
deductive,
yeah.
successful, unsuccessful in
No,
non-deductive arguments, yeah?
okay.
So the whole argument is invalid or unsuccessful.
Okay.
Because we are talking complex arguments, so we got several steps, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so, see this one, yeah? If complex argument is made up of one or more valid inferences and non-deductively successful, the whole argument is then non-deductively successful, yeah? You forget the first premise, which is still valid, and then you go as a non-deductive argument. Yeah, let me give you an example. So it's not just this, okay? So this is from your book, yeah?
Mhm.
So 60% of the volunteers, remember what we were looking at the last week? Okay, I go around you. Now I just want to show you what I'm doing. Remember the sentences? Yeah, so we got the first premise.
Yeah. Mhm.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two premises, this is the conclusion of the first part, yeah?
Yes.
So I put here 1, 2.
Yeah.
Okay? So which premises support that conclusion? Okay? So 7, and then what this third one then becomes is an intermediate conclusion. What is become in the next step? A premise.
A premise, of course, a premise to go.
Premise to the
Yes,
follow-up
okay.
argument,
Okay.
yeah?
Yeah,
So we got first step is intermediary conclusion, yeah?
Yeah.
Then this intermediary conclusion
yeah.
becomes premise, and then you draw from it, yeah? So first one is Cohen was given a placebo, and then you add to it 70% of the 70%. Immediately we are in non-deductive claim, yeah? So experience stiffening, etc. So it is non-deductively successful because 60%, yeah? likelihood and non-deductible results. So it's overall is maybe yes, maybe no, yeah? That's the point, we just don't know.
Yeah, well,
So
there's
it's a lie.
70% of
Yes,
60%. Yeah, yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what
Is
you mean, yes.
40% is it?
Yeah, well, that's,
One would say maybe it is not.
yeah.
40% is, yeah, so you have to, then you have to actually insert yourself. It's not just following patterns,
No,
but you have to start judging. Is 40% really successful?
no.
Or it has to be 50%? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, think when I turn it into the deductive argument, yeah?
Yeah.
So all volunteers in the alternative studies, all A's are B's, X is A, therefore X is B. And all volunteers in the entire study were given placebos rather than ibuprofen, whatever you pronounce that. Cohen was a volunteer, Cohen was given a placebo, yeah? Supported by first two
Yes.
claims, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you turn that into a premise.
Yeah.
So X is B, Cohen was given a placebo. All A's are C, all B's are C's. All of those given placebo experienced increased stiffening of joint.
Yes.
X is C.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's clear in the deductive argument.
Yeah.
There you don't have to think about 40, 50, 70%, yeah? But you do have to pass judgment. What do you think? Is it successful or not? Yeah? So what you can work out by logic is limited, yeah? But the sciences are based on it, yeah? So think about that. Science starts from empirical reasoning, but it is important to keep in mind it doesn't stay with empirical reasoning. It's always extension with the generalization, which is deductive. All swans are white. You will not find this claim in the world. There is just no way. It's generalization from swan A, B, C, D, whatever, yeah?
Yeah.
And whole science is based on this next step, which is generalization, yeah?
Yeah.
Once again, this is just for you, you don't need to. So once again, let's go back to the, all men are mortron, Socrates is man, Socrates is mortron, valid, invalid. Valid, yeah? So this is validity, yeah? Now think about another valid deductive argument. All animals are four-legged. A dove is an animal. A dove is a four-legged animal.
Valid.
It is valid.
It's valid.
Premise is
Of
just
course it's valid.
yeah.
See, this is why we are
Oh, it's valid
coming.
because you've written it there, but it's not.
No, it is valid. I'm sorry.
All right.
Why I'm saying
All
it
animals are
because
four-legged.
now we are coming to the point of soundness.
Yes.
It's not sound.
It's
is it?
definitely not sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a not sound.
It's not sound argument, but it's
No.
valid.
It's valid
But it's valid,
using
Yeah.
not
that
sound.
form.
Because it's all A's are B's.
Yes, all A's are.
A is A,
Yes,
X is A, therefore X is B.
yeah, I see now what
The
you're saying. I can
argument
see what
is
you- because
valid.
even though you don't believe it to be true,
No, see, you
Yeah.
look at the premises.
Yeah, I'm looking at the premises.
Yeah, all animals are four-legged. Yes, true, false.
Yeah, and now I
No,
can
no,
see.
no, no,
yeah,
no,
when you
no,
went
no,
out.
answer to me. All animals are four-legged, true or false?
Well, on there you'd say it's.
No, I am
but I say
asking
it's
you.
false.
Of course it's false. What do you mean there I'm saying? It's false, full stop. A full stop. That's why the generalization is a problem, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
So it is valid, all A's are B's, X is A, therefore X is B, but it's not sound.
No.
This is why we come to this truth and falsity of claims, yeah? Look. So we need to see valid and sound. Now, deductive arguments are valid or invalid, yeah? If they are valid, they can be sound or unsound. If they are not valid, goodbye, brother. You are not considering it whatsoever. It's not a good argument. Invalid argument is outside of the category of soundness, yeah? So only valid argument could be sound or unsound.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just remember that. Yeah? So the question would be, yeah, is an argument valid? If it is valid, are the claims premises true? All animals are four-legged. No, it's false.
It's false.
So the second thing, are the claims true? If they are true, then the argument is sound. Yeah? If one of the premises or both are false, then the argument could be valid but unsound. If the argument is not valid, there is no argument. Yeah?
Yes.
Good night.
Yes.
Thank you. So it is impossible for an argument to be valid, have true premises and a false conclusion. Impossible. Because of the structure. If its argument valid and has true premises, the conclusion must be true. Okay? So always check premises if you think the conclusion is the dove is four-legged animal. Yeah? It could be valid,
Yeah.
but one of the premises must be false if we have this false conclusion. Yeah? So going back to what you start saying about the Fran, yeah, and you as well, yeah, if you question the conclusion, you must refute either one or two premises, because the conclusion follows necessarily from premises, yeah, in deductive argument, actually in inductive too, yeah,
Yeah,
follows necessarily. If you think there is something wrong with the conclusion, you have to go back. It's not good enough to say, I don't agree with this conclusion. You have to go to premises. You have to change the premises. Why I'm stressing this? This is important for your essays when you write. When you read somebody else, yeah? If you think that their conclusion is problematic, it's no point attacking conclusion. You have to attack premises, not a conclusion, because conclusion follows from those premises, yeah? Remember, the argument is for what reasons, and could be bad argument is still an argument, yeah? So you have to keep that in mind. So what about conclusion true, false? I already talked about it, yeah? To reach different conclusion, you have to reformulate premises, okay? So we have basic deductive arguments, categorical, propositional, yeah? Both of these argumentative structures are deductive. The conclusion necessarily follows from premises, yeah? Or the premises entail conclusion, okay? So we have two deductive arguments, categorical, which we covered exhaustively, conditional, which we will cover next week, yeah? So keep in mind the conditional arguments, we are talking about relationship between sentences. If it rains, then I'll go to the beach. Yeah? The claim, true and false, is those two claims, if, then. Yeah?
Yeah.
I will go to it next week, so don't worry about this. But just remember, it's between sentences, while categorical is within the argument between the categories, yeah? Relationship. So we got conditional, disjunctive, I'm just jumping through it because we will go to it next week, yeah? We got modus tones, I love those ones, we'll explain it next week. So now I'm just repeating and we will finish, yeah? Categorical classes of things, remember the categorical syllogism, yeah? Declarative sentences, they're always asserting something about things, yeah? That's why they are categories.
Yeah.
Conditional, yeah? Disjunctive, hypothetical is composed of sentences. If, be, then Q.
Yeah.
Thinking usually the thinking logic is when you talk categories, you go A, B, C. If you talk sentences, you go P, Q, R. For some strange reason. I don't know why I start with P. Maybe it's proposition, it's P. I just made this one up, but makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, now, premises and conclusion are what?
True or false?
Exactly, exactly. Arguments are
Valid or
valid, and if they are valid, then they are
sound?
or unsound, yeah? Consider that this, all stingrays are fish, a sparrow is a stingray, a sparrow is fish. Okay, valid, invalid,
Valid,
Valid.
yeah?
Yeah.
But
You sure?
not sound.
not sound. Yeah,
Definitely, right,
yeah?
yeah.
So now, look at this one. All men are mortal, Socrates is mortal, therefore Socrates is a man. Valid, invalid.
Valid.
Valid.
Oi, 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 oi.
Socrates.
What do we have? All A's are B's.
All A.
Socrates is B,
So it needs to be all men are mortal, Socrates is man.
exactly, it
Then
has to be
Socrates is
Socrates,
mortal.
it has to be all A's are B's. Socrates is A, and if he's a member of A category, because all A's are B's, he must be member of B category. But if you say that he is B category, there are more members in A. You cannot draw that
Yeah,
conclusion,
okay,
it's
yeah.
invalid.
Okay,
Could you see why?
yeah, I can see now. but-
Yeah. I am going to make sure you do understand this. Yeah? This is why my
A bit
letter
slow.
soup is good when you do ABC, because it clearly shows you what's the problem, yeah? Yeah, is this clear?
Yeah.
It's invalid, that means it's out of category of soundness. Yeah? So all stingrays are fish, a sparrow is thing should be already, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got all, some, none. So look at this, affirmative. Remember I was said we have those two, affirmative and negative. Yeah. Only those two. All A's are B's. X is A, therefore X is B. Yes, Socrates. Okay. Negative would be all A's are B's. No X is B, the second category. Therefore, it cannot be A. Yeah, you don't have to remember this, you just look at the form and you know it, yeah?
Mhm.
All flying squirrels are mammals, no birds are mammals, therefore no birds are flying squirrels, yeah? Valid, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we already said this.
Stingray is a fish, a sparrow
Yeah.
is a
All stingray are fish, sparrow is a stingray,
Mm.
sparrow is a fish. Valid, invalid. All
Valid.
A's are valid, yeah?
I'd say that's
Is it
valid.
sound?
That's valid. I think
No,
so.
No,
It's
No.
valid.
It's valid,
It's
but it's
valid,
not
it's-
sound.
It is valid, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is valid, but is it sound?
No.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you just look at the premises, true, false. Okay?
Yeah.
And then immediately you know it's not true. A sparrow is a stingray is false claim, yeah?
Yeah.
Immediately, therefore, yeah, non-sound argument, yeah?
Yeah.
So invalid or unsound premises lead to a conclusion. So, yeah?
Yeah.
And you can go generalization, yeah? And I think if you want to look at it, I just put even colors into it. Yeah,
That's good. No, that's
Because
good.
I think it's, yeah, having you go A, B, C, D, it's that staircase. The moment you miss one step, you are falling down, has to be A, B, C, C, D. That's why they look sometimes circular, but they are the arguments which covers all the steps, yeah? Yeah, in the staircase,
Mhm.
look at these stairs, I went. All right, think about bricks. Either you put one on the other as an argument, yeah, and you got a beautiful wall. Or you got a pile of bricks.
No,
Yeah.
we've got no more. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's why it's important to remember those patterns. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Maybe 5 minutes and then we can do the,
Okay.
before you come back, just think about one question, all of you. Don't give me an answer, only when you come back. What is Anthony?
Oh.
5 minutes.
What is it?
Oh, sorry, I was late.
Anthony.
Sorry, I had something at school, sorry, I was late.
That's
Oh, we started
I was
again.
learning how to tell you, but thank you.
It's all right. Yes, so we got further examples.
That's good, that ABC, isn't it, the structure?
Just think about as a
Yeah.
staircase, yeah, on the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
It's better than those, the Venn diagrams, I find that.
I actually, yes, I didn't cover Venn diagram. If you want to, you are very.
Oh, I did, and I just thought, you know what, I much prefer this to go. what
Yes.
Yes, I found that very,
Oh, and everything, I was trying to understand what he was trying to say.
exactly, it
Oh,
didn't
it's
come through.
actually.
I'm
it's not
pleased to hear
difficult.
that,
When I
really,
give
because
you
I did
the
too.
outline, I
Yeah.
prefer Euler's circles
Yeah,
because they are much easier.
yeah.
And the Venn diagram is actually based on Euler's circles. But I think my letters should, all A's are B's.
Yeah,
It
and
seems
so
to be
do I.
much, yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
So if you want to, you are welcome to go to it, but I
No,
prefer this one. so
I
didn't-
spent half an hour this afternoon, I got a headache.
You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
survived to confuse you,
No,
I'm not
letters are
going to
much
use
better.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Now this. I need to go here. More.